So our neighbors to the north have taken Trump derangement syndrome to a whole nother level as they decided to intentionally nuke themselves just to try to own Donald Trump. And 100 days in, the Democrats have cracked. They have done it. They issued articles of impeachment against Donald Trump, and it comes from a very random and unsuspecting Democrat congressman. I'm gonna show you guys all of that in this video, but as always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But we'll start with Canada's newly elected Prime Minister Justin Trudeau 2.0 giving his victory speech and exposing that his platform was nothing more than just Trump derangement syndrome.
We see every day what the politics of slogans and anger and chaos are doing south of the border. They are dividing and they are weakening the Americans. And that is why, that is what, they are not united anymore. United in name only. And now the Americans want our strength. They want our resources, our water, our land. They want our country. There's your answer. There's your answer. Because Canada is not America. Canada is not America. Thank God.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff there that makes me totally support Donald Trump belittling Canada, calling it the 51st state, even though I would never want these radical liberals to be part of the United States. But how dare they talk about us? Oh, they're not united anymore. Oh, Canada isn't the United States, thank God. Like, the general arrogance and lack of self-awareness is so embarrassing and just a form of coping. It's like when a bunch of theater kids look over at the cool kids table and say, well, who wants to be them anyway? But that was essentially this guy's entire platform, talking as if he was a United States Democrat and making his entire support around the idea of we don't like Donald Trump. And Canada fell for this so badly that they elected the guy who was working for Justin Trudeau, made economic policy for Justin Trudeau, the same economic policy that has crippled Canada over the past 10 years. They decided to vote for more of that. Not to mention, they ousted Justin Trudeau, called for special elections because they hated Trudeau's government so much. But here comes Trump talking about Canada's going to be the 51st state, instituting tariffs because Canada doesn't want to bolster border security, doesn't want to engage in free trade. And Mark Carney swoops in and convinces an entire country to continue nuking themselves simply to give Trump a hee-hee-ha-ha, as if it really matters to us in the first place. They voted to ruin their country to make a non-existent point. Here's the leader of Canada's Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, earlier this month, debating against Mark Carney and calling him out for literally being Justin Trudeau 2.0.
The question you have to ask is, after a decade of liberal promises, can you afford food? Is your housing more affordable than it used to be? What is your cost of living like compared to what it was a decade ago? And are you prepared to elect the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal staffers all over again for a fourth term? Mr. Carney, Justin Trudeau's staffers are actually here with you at this debate in Montreal, writing the talking points that you are regurgitating into the microphone. Ooh. How can we possibly believe that you are any different than the previous 10 years of Liberal government?
25 seconds left in this segment for you to respond to that.
Look, I do my own talking points. Thank you very much.
So yeah, Canada just psyoped themselves into oblivion. Justin Trudeau obliterated Canada by instituting a mass migration policy, a Biden-esque policy that brought tons of people from the third world into Canada and then drained Canada's social welfare system. Shocker. He then instituted a carbon tax, which made every single thing in Canada substantially more expensive. They tax their citizens into the ground. They make building houses impossible, so they have the highest housing prices in the developed world. They have very anti-business policies, which is why Canada has so few major international players. And with all that going, they decided to get into a trade war with the United States. So understandably, the Canadian citizens were mad, which led to the meteoric rise of Pierre Poilievre. But what the media is saying, what the pundits are saying, is after Trump's rhetoric started to become more hostile to Canada, oh boo-hoo, their liberal Trump derangement fired up. And because of that, anything conservative, they therefore linked to Donald Trump, I'm assuming is their explanation. So support for Pierre started to fall, and support for Mark Carney, who replaced Justin Trudeau after he was ousted, started to rise. Because Canadians got distracted from the fundamental problems that caused them to hold special elections because everything was so bad, and instead wanted a politician who was going to tell them, I don't like Trump either, I'll stand up to Trump. We're Canada, we're a sovereign country. Their irrational Trump derangement led their voting decisions. And this is a perfect case study on how Trump derangement syndrome is a literal mental illness. In a previous video, I showed a girl who posted herself denying a NASA internship because Donald Trump's the president. So we already know liberals will self-sabotage their own life because they're Trump deranged. But Canada has now showed us that liberals are willing to self-sabotage their entire country because they're Trump deranged. Interesting stuff, to say the least, but here is CNN talking about that.
So Trump seems to have handed this one to the liberals. The conservatives had a pretty big lead before Trump started talking about the 51st state. And then this morning, Trump sends out a Truth Social post that says, if Canada becomes the cherished 51st state of the United States of America, no more artificially drawn line from many years ago. Look how beautiful this landmass would be. It makes no sense unless Canada is a state.
It's
that
remarkable.
pissed people off.
It's remarkable what happened because Carney actually did the policy for the Liberal Party that devastated the Canadian country and brought poverty to 25% of the population. And he was masterfully able to say, stop looking at my past record. Look at this guy south of the border. He's evil and he wants to eat us. And I will defend you because I was once in a room with him years ago. It was.
And that right there is why I have never been in favor of Canada being the 51st state. I don't care about the landmass. I don't care about its natural resources. All I care about is that if we absorbed Canada, we would absorb a country that's, 70% Trump deranged. No, thank you. You know what would really piss Canadians off? What I'm about to say. They would be much better as an American territory or a colony. How do you like that one, Canada? But now on to the other hilarious story. Only 100 days in and the Democrats have officially broken, they have snapped, and they have issued articles of impeachment. And the person who issued them released a little statement on X, a video explaining what he's doing and why he's doing it. And the internet has been ripping into this guy. They have been trolling him. This is a comedy sketch. I'm gonna play this for you and try not peeing yourself from laughing too hard.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump.
Okay, I don't know if what I'm gonna say is racist or not, but I don't think that if you speak with that thick of an accent, you should have the privilege of impeaching an American president. That privilege is not for people who speak like the clerk at the local gas station. Like, the Democrats don't even have a majority in the House or the Senate, so there's no point in even filing articles of impeachment. At this point, you're just trying to do it as a publicity stunt. But we don't know who this guy is. He looks like a member of the Indian parliament. He has no American political clout, but he's trying to get his name out there. Oh, I'm filing articles of impeachment against Donald J. Trump. And what makes this even worse is this same congressman was called out at a local town hall about why he voted against the Laken Riley Act, and the guy just smugly ignores the question after getting fact-checked to his face. Watch.
You were one of 67 congressmen to not vote for the Laken Riley Act and one of 10 senators. So 77 out of over 600. There must have been something in there that made you not want to vote for that because you were such an outlier there. Can you please tell us why you didn't vote for the Laken Riley Act?
We thought that the Trump administration would misuse that to harass people. We'll get you more information on that.
He wasn't He wasn't president then. This was over a year ago. He voted against the Lincoln-Riley Act.
Not a good idea. Good point. 30 seconds.
No, what was your answer? You didn't answer. You didn't answer.
So the Lincoln-Riley Act was a pretty bipartisan piece of legislation. I want to say it had the majority of Democrats voting for it, but this guy was part of the extreme minority that voted against it. So we already know what kind of Democrat voter this guy represents, thus making his incredibly embarrassing articles of impeachment claim even less serious. One of the positives that I'm actually taking away from Mark Carney winning in Canada is the Democrats are going to assume that Americans are just as Trump deranged, even though we're not, and they're going to continue down the same path of not trying to formulate a plan or a strategy or policies, and will instead continue the divisive, dishonest, callous, anti-Trump rhetoric, engaging in more performative stunts like sing-song time on the Capitol or articles of impeachment, while Trump is actually presenting the American people with a vision of prosperity and hope. Here is Howard Lutnick talking about a conversation he had with Apple's CEO, where he revealed Apple is hungry to bring everything to the United States if it can, which is what Trump is trying to do. Take a look.
Think about it this way. What Apple said is they're going to spend $500 billion building everything that they make except for their consumer small products, right? They're going to do all their AI, all their supercomputers, everything they do in scale, they're going to build in America for $500 billion. So I talked to Tim Cook the other day. I said, when are you going to bring the iPhone? Right? When are you going to bring the iPhone? He said, I need to have the robotic arms, right? Do it at a scale and a precision that I could bring it here. And the day I see that available, it's coming here, because I don't like to employ all these people foreign. That's my biggest risk. What if in China there was a strike or there was social unrest?
Another pandemic.
Right, and all of a sudden I lose it. So he wants to build it here. He's going to build it here. And Americans are going to be the technicians who drive those factories. They're not going to be the ones screwing it in. People just take my statements out of context.
So at the end of the day, that's all Republicans need to do, is maintain the course and remind the American people what the Democrats are fighting against. Trump wants to clean up government corruption, government waste, government abuse, and the Democrats are against that. Trump wants to lock down the border. He wants to deport all of the gang members, the terrorists, all of the illegals who entered and abused our asylum system, who are draining our federal welfare that is for the citizens, forcing Americans to compete with them for housing, for jobs, and the Democrats are against that. Trump wants to stop racist DEI discrimination. Democrats are against that. Trump wants to stop men from participating in women's sports, and Democrats are against that. And finally, to the point of the clip I just showed, Trump wants to reorganize global trade in a way that is beneficial for Americans, modernizes our factories and production capabilities, and creates new manufacturing jobs, high-paying good jobs for American citizens that we don't have access to because the rest of the world screws us over. Again, we run over a $1 trillion trade deficit with the globe. If we reduce that deficit by half even, we're talking about $500 billion per year of dollars that are now being spent in the United States. That means more money, more jobs, more prosperity for Americans. And the only way to force the globe's hand into acquiescing to this plan, to getting on board with this America First agenda, is through brutal, economic paralyzing tariffs. It may not be pretty, it may not be clean and pristine and what the Democrats would claim to be diplomatic, but it's effective. But Democrats are totally cool with a system where Americans are robbed and cheated and America eventually becomes a non-factor in the globe. Also, the Democrats can maintain their power and keep their government corruption scheme going. It's pitiful. So I was about to wrap the video up when I saw this post from Charlie Kirk, and I thought that this is a shocking number and highlights another point of what Donald Trump is doing to benefit Americans. It says, according to a new report, more than 2/3 of reserve U.S. military personnel are overweight. More than 20% of the National Guard is obese. And that's after thousands of potential recruits are rejected every year for already being too fat to enlist. The routine acceptance of chubby, out-of-shape soldiers is proof of how military standards have declined to the point of near collapse. An army of fat soldiers who can't run a mile isn't going to win a major war. Our national obesity epidemic isn't just shortening American lives and costing us trillions of dollars. It's also putting American security in danger. That is why we need Pete Hegseth's standards revival, and it's why we need MAHA. So those were two things I missed, but they are equally as important as everything else on there. You have Trump, who put a guy in place who, mind you, was a former Democrat, whose mission is to make America healthy, stop our obesity problem, make our food cleaner and healthier, reduce the prevalence of developmental diseases in our kids. And then you have Pete Hegseth wanting to restore our military, our great military, back to its high standards. The Biden administration made the military a joke. They made it a circus of liberal virtue signaling. And when you do that, it emboldens enemies like Russia, like Iran with Hamas, to attack US allies and go directly against US interests. People listen to what the United States says, and they fear military retaliation when they know the leadership is strong and serious and the military is capable. Don't let the polls fool you. Don't let the pundits fool you. Don't let the fear tactics work. Have faith in our president, because I truly believe his intentions are good. His plan is solid, and it's just a matter of time before everything falls into place and liberals once again have to put their foots in their mouths. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.